Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin, and this is our review for Wolfman.
When Blake and his family returns to his Oregon childhood home, they are attacked by an unseen animal, and in a desperate escape, barricade themselves inside the farmhouse as the creature prowls the perimeter. Through the night, Blake begins to fall sick, transforming into something unrecognizable that will soon jeopardize his wife and daughter. Well, believe it or not, I was able to drag this one to the movies with me, and one of the reasons is because we like the trailer so much, and two, this is also directed by Lee Whannell, who directed Invisible Man, that we both liked a lot. So I was like, I think you're gonna be fine. Let's go see Wolfman, and he came with me.
Exactly. I mean, since Lee Whannell was did The Invisible Man, and the way that he was able to portray just the thriller, the horror, and just being able to use negative space in that movie to where you always think that the Invisible Man is there somewhere in the room. It really made me go, okay, I'm really curious to see how he now takes a technological horror thriller movie and then changes it to something different where it's, now something more biological like Wolfman.
Yeah, I really do think he has a very unique way of taking these classic, like universal monster stories and sort of retelling it for the current time. And this one, I would say, yes, the werewolf element is still there. Our protagonist is essentially affected by another werewolf creature, and therefore that is how he is infected with that. But everything else is not to, like, from what I can remember, like the original Wolfman or the 2010 Wolfman. No, that one was set in England.
Yeah,
they go back to England. This one, they're in Oregon.
Yeah, and the original Wolfman, it really did focus on the fact that it was a curse. This one, they took a little different modern spin on it to kind of connect it to where it's not magical, but it is a little bit more biological. And I kind of like the twist, but there were some things that made me go, it's kind of taking it into a direction of more zombie-ish. But I liked how they were trying to change it up a bit and trying to make it so it would resonate with a modern day audience who doesn't really believe in magical curses.
I mean, I feel like when you're seeing a movie called Wolfman, you're gonna just buy into whatever story they're trying to tell there, and then the rest of it depends on how good the storytelling is, how good the pacing is. This movie is, I think it's like an hour, 40 something minutes, which I think is really a perfect time for horror, so you're not lingering on too much of the stuff. You don't have all of that to fill. And you can make the argument where, like, Nosferatu is much longer, and that still is like one of my top favorites of last year's movie. But a movie like this one, where it's like they're really coming at you pretty aggressively with the jump scares and the loud noises and stuff like that, I think under 2 hours is a really, like, sweet spot for horror like this one. And I like that this is also, a two-part, right? Like, it's one part, obviously, Wolfman horror, jump scares, dark corners, and all of that stuff. And another part is this family dynamic that I really wasn't expecting. I was thinking more of going in like, okay, this is going to happen to our main character, and one of the other things is obviously survive, but there is a whole other layer of emotional family dynamic underneath that, and that is not what I was expecting, and I actually enjoyed that so much. Like, when we got to the end of the movie, I felt I was satisfied with the scares, but I also felt quite sad.
Yeah, they did a really good job on making you care about these characters and making you care about this trauma that they are going through and how their dynamic really did affect their actions and their reactions in the movie, to where there were some parts where I was like, no, don't do that, get away from the thing, but it would make sense because of their family dynamic, that they made certain choices to where it wasn't quite, pulling your hair out and saying, why are you making these stupid decisions? And you're like, oh yeah, that's right, it's a horror movie, that's why. But I love, one of the things that they did really well in this was the transition from different perspectives. When they did it from the perspective of, the humans and...
The unaffected. The unaffected.
The unaffected. And then they transitioned slowly to what the Wolfman would see from his perspective. I was like, okay, that's a really cool way to show how he's losing his humanity.
Yes.
How he's losing, but he's still struggling with it. He's still trying to understand. He's still trying to have that connection to his family. So I felt like it really did make you feel for Blake's character.
Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite things that I, in a single shot, you get the perspective of what is happening to Blake as the virus or the sickness is overtaking him, and you don't just see, like, they switch to his POV while keeping him in the shot, and they change the lighting and they put little effects on what he is seeing to play on the color, essentially kind of like how potentially an animal, a wolf, would be seeing the things that he's seeing and hearing and feeling. And then they kind of, in the same shot, switch it back to the human characters and what they're perceiving him. And I really like that a lot, because I really haven't seen that done in a Wolfman before, in that smooth as a transition. I really like that. And I also want to talk about how Lee Wynell, how he films his scares and the loud noises. It's not just loud noises just to make you jump. Sure, those are fun, but sometimes they're fun but a little empty. These all have a purpose. Like, all of the sounds that you see, even the very beginning, the very first like sound and shot that you see and hear, you're like, why is this relevant? You'll find out later why that's relevant. It's not really relevant to the story, but essentially to his transformation. So I thought that was really smart. The callbacks are really smart. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But the use of not just a gory, scary image of a wolfman coming at you and running after you, that is scary, but is where he is in proximity to the humans that he is essentially hunting. And he uses, because it's cold in Oregon in this setting of the movie, he uses breath.
Yeah.
And that was so cool. And I feel like we got to see a little bit of that taste in Invisible Man. He uses negative space as well, and lighting. Lighting is really cool. There's this one shot where you see the Wolfman's back in the house and he's lurking, and you got the family members on one side of the screen, the Wolfman descending down the stairs on the other one, and it's so cool. I was like, and it kind of gave, I don't know why, the way he colored it too, or the way he lit it, it kind of had that classic old, original, Universal monster look.
And something that they did pretty well in this too was not revealing the monster too quickly. That is a very good horror movie trope, and it's sometimes they don't really pull it off very well. But in this movie, I feel like they gave you just enough glimpses, just enough ideas, and until the big reveal near the end. And I think that was something that really did prolong the suspense, prolong the fear and the terror, is not knowing exactly what this monster looked like, and just getting the hand, just getting a blurry image of the silhouette. And it really did. I really liked the design too, because the way that they designed the Wolfman character was very much a transformational thing. I loved how it really pulled from a lot of different inspirations. So it was really fun to see kind of that fresh take on that kind of character.
Yeah, and we want to talk about circling back. In the very beginning, they sort of laid the foundation of who Blake is and his childhood growing up, so his relationship with his father, and obviously living in Oregon. And you get a little history of the Wolfman, or the lore of it, and you kind of see also the dynamic between Blake and his dad, and how that affects his relationship with his wife and his daughter. And he essentially is kind of trying to be everything that his father was not to him, but he also struggles with the balance because it's what he grew up knowing. So I loved seeing like the human aspect, the emotional aspect of that for Blake, which plays a lot into the movie, especially in the third act. And there's something that they do in the very beginning of the movie that they circle back to at the very end, and I was like, oh, that's great. I loved seeing that. And it's just like, so, I don't want to call it straightforward, but it was a fun, entertaining watch where you're not you know,
It wasn't convoluted.
yes, it wasn't convoluted. They're not plowing over you with like exposition and history and all this wordy stuff. And it's just, but you get enough sense of everything. And, you know, in the little time that you have with these characters, understand their dynamic because they explain it really well. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, they didn't try to connect this to a bigger universe. This
Right.
we went into this movie thinking that they were going to connect it to the dark monster universe, and found out after coming out of the movie that Universal's kind of given up on that idea, and they're just going to focus on these solo movies. And I think that's actually a really smart idea, because the whole cinematic universe, market is kind of drying up. So I think focusing on just these small stories that are self-contained and you can just tell a really good horror movie is what you need. And that's what this movie did incredibly well, is keep it simple, keep it what it's just about is this family's survival, and that's it. And then move forward with something else a little bit later.
And I think with that said, we're going to go ahead and give you our rating for Wolfman. The movie couple rating is listed for you in the video description below. I had a good time with this movie. I was hoping for a nice fright, entertainment, and I got all of that, as well as seeing like the creative ways that they were using to film the scary moments, where it's not just relying on a loud sound here or there or a jump scare. And again, those are fun, but I felt full from the thrills. There were parts where I was like, oh, edge of my seat. Not quite as much as Invisible Man. I felt like I was really, because you can't see, so you're afraid of,
You don't
what
know
you
where.
can't see, right? The Wolfman, you can at least, it's a tangible like threat where you're like, he is literally standing right there and you can see it. And it's very, very frightening. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and give Wolfman, check it out.
For me, you know me, I'm not really into horror movies. So something that this movie did well was build up the stress and the tension. I don't like stress and tension in my movies, but I can appreciate that that was the purpose of this movie, and that's where they're going for. If you're into that sort of thing, I do recommend you seeing it. For me, I'm going to give this a matinee it.
And there you have it. That is our thoughts on Wolfman. Let us know your thoughts once you've seen the movie in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.